Wolfenstein 2 is one of the big releases for Switch this week, and today we are going to take a look at how the game performs, both in docked and in handheld. We are going to start off with docked here. We are playing some pre-recorded footage that I had, and we're going to go ahead and begin here. So this is early in the game. It's not really late. There won't be any major story spoilers or anything like that, but as you guys can see here, I'm doing my best to showcase as best we can. We start off with some cool little particle effects there, then we get here to Manhattan, New York, where we see a pretty wide open area, and probably the first thing you're gonna notice is that the colors and stuff are a little bit washed. Clearly, remember, this is the Switch version, and I think Panic Button did a fantastic job with the port. I think they've outdone themselves. I think that this runs and plays better than Doom did, and that already played really well. People were super happy with the way that worked. This gameplay here won't be so much about my great gaming skills. It's going to be more about how the game runs. It is 30 FPS, and if I'm honest, I kind of prefer playing the game in handheld than in docked, and you'll get into why here in a little bit, but everything is a little muddy. The textures aren't the highest of quality, but that is to be expected. On PlayStation 4 and Xbox One and PC, the game is going to look and play much better, but 30 FPS is still what they were going for here, and they did a really admirable job of making sure that it stays consistent. Every once in a while there are dips, I'm not gonna lie, but I am super impressed with the port. Here an enemy spots us right away because we're terrible with that little throwing axe thing, but it does give us an opportunity to just go in guns blazing and show you guys some of this as well. This footage was recorded with me playing with a Pro controller. Gyro is enabled, the motion controls, which I feel solves one of the bigger problems that Doom had, which is that since it was 30 FPS, you kind of had to aim by moving your character and not necessarily the reticle, just because of the way that game was, right? It's so fast-paced, and so is Wolfenstein. Wolfenstein is very fast-paced as well. So seeing that motion control really helps with that, it was a very pleasant surprise. Zach and I were speaking about that earlier, and the fact that you are able to aim with gyro, very similar to Splatoon, it kind of helps compensate for the fact that the aiming isn't the best with the stick because of the 30 FPS nature of the game. That is just how it's built. Here you get to see a little bit more of the lighting, and again, the textures are very muddled, but if I'm honest, I was very impressed with what Panic Button did here. This actually makes me really excited to see more games like this being ported over to Switch, because if they can make this run this good, I have serious hope for what's coming up as well. When you see a ton of enemies, or you are in a huge open environment, things are gonna get a little bit more muddled. There will be some frame rate drops, things of that nature, but for the most part, right, when you're in areas like this where yes, it's open, but it's very limited to where you can go. Sometimes when you're indoors as well, those work very well. We're also going to show you guys a cutscene here in a little bit, so you guys can take a look at what that looks like, because I know that that's something people always wonder about. This area here is, like I said, indoors, a little bit darker. There's not a ton going on. There's not a lot of enemies or anything like that, but when you do see those particle effects from some of those weapons as the enemies kind of turn into I don't even know what they are, fire. I don't know. You guys saw it there in the beginning of the video. That to me looks really impressive, and overall I was just hugely impressed with the way the game ran. So no screen tearing, nothing like that, just occasional dips, and of course the fact that graphically it's just not going to look as well. But Crash and this coming out this week, and both of them being super good ports, gives me so much hope for what third party can do on Nintendo Switch. So now that we've seen this a little bit, we're gonna continue here for a bit, check out a little bit more of this level. Here we take out one of these enemies with the signal. We're gonna go ahead and try to pick up the ammo that he has and continue on our way here. But yeah, Panic Button are wizards when it comes to the Nintendo Switch. And Gyro, we're gonna have a video about Gyro a little bit later. Zach and I were speaking about that, but Gyro is so much cooler than it has any right to be. I have no idea when the Switch happened, because we used to hate motion controls on the Wii. I remember specifically people were not a fan of that, and now people want motion controls because the gyro works so well, especially with the Pro controller. Having that thing in your hand is really an awesome deal. Handheld is how I prefer to play it, just because the screen is a little bit smaller, and I'll save that for when we get into the handheld portion of the video here in a bit. But actually, let's go ahead and cut here and go to one of the cutscenes. Okay, so we're about to begin the cutscenes. Nothing crazy for spoilers or anything like that. It's a little bit more action-based, so let's go ahead and start it, and I'm going to take off the face cam for this, and we'll come back and talk about that. Okay, so there you guys saw a cutscene, and again, not anything like crazy spoilers, and it's not the most insane cutscene ever, but just as an example of what the game looks like for you guys. I am honestly really happy with the way that the game both looks and performs and runs. The gameplay even feels so much better because of the gyro aiming that has been enabled. Of course, that did come to Doom a little bit later as well, but Wolfenstein 2 is a really good time. Another super solid Switch outing from Bethesda. They are outdoing themselves continuously, so I hope to see more stuff coming forward. There is a new Wolfenstein game / expansion stuff coming in the form of Youngblood, where if that comes to Switch day and date with the other platforms, that's going to be super exciting. But handheld mode, I did say that handheld is how I prefer to play this game a little bit, and we'll get into why there in a moment. So let's go over to handheld mode now. And now we can talk about handheld mode a little bit. I played the whole first couple of hours of the game in handheld mode. Here you are seeing some of the same area that the docked footage that you saw, so you can see the comparison, maybe even the exact same footage. And I was super impressed with how it feels in handheld mode. I enjoy aiming with the gyro while I'm holding the Switch in my hands. Of course, the footage you are seeing, I'm using a Pro controller off to the side of the screen, and it's hard to see from far away, so please excuse any weird things that you think are super obvious. They weren't super obvious to me, I promise, because I was so far away from the screen. But the fact that this game runs so well in handheld mode is really impressive. Now, the resolution isn't gonna be the best, right? But it's a steady 30 FPS. I don't really know what the resolution is on dock either. I'm pretty sure that it is below 900p in a lot of parts, maybe in 720p. Digital Foundry will, I'm sure, are going to do a really good job of checking that out. But for handheld mode, whatever resolution it's running on, it's doing a really good job of maintaining that frame rate. And, people have disagreements, right, of whether, hey, resolution is what you think is better, or the frame rate. For me, it's all about frame rate and the way the game feels. And as you can see here in this footage, it still looks really good. I honestly prefer playing it in handheld mode because the screen is so much smaller. So the fact that the screen isn't as high end as the monitor that I usually play on when docked, it looks better in handheld mode, in my opinion, than in docked. So that's a little bit surprising to say, but yeah, I do figure since the Switch screen is just smaller, I am able to focus a little bit more on what I'm seeing on the screen, and again, the Switch screen not being that high of quality actually kind of helps in this instance. So there you have it. This is what the game looks like in handheld mode. There's a cool little mini boss fight at the end of this that you should stay tuned and check out, but I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. It's a really good port, guys. If you are wondering what the port job is like before you go ahead and check it out and buy it for yourself, rest assured, it's a great port. This and Crash seriously give me some hope for what third party has coming in the future. So let me know in the comments below what you think of the game, how it runs, how it performs, both in handheld and in docked, and we will catch you on the next one. Hit the thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you are not subscribed. Follow us on Twitter and Discord. Links are in the description, and we will catch you on the next one. Switch Force out.